Hey mate, how are you?
Hello there. I am well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Howard. Thanks for having us here. It's good.
No worries, man. No worries. Nice to meet you, Nick. I understand you got stuck on a train last time we were supposed to be talking.
Yeah. Just stuck around, busy as hell. Yeah, sorry, man.
That's all
And yeah,
right.
my sense of time zones makes things a little bit tricky, but yeah, glad we
Yeah.
finally get to do this.
Look, dude, this podcast has been going 8 years, and I've interviewed all sorts of bands from all over the world. And I've never interviewed a band based in Australia. I've never interviewed an Australia musician. And when I finally do, it's probably hotter here than it is there.
Yeah, the tables have finally turned around on you. Hey, how is it there at the moment?
Yeah, really hot. So we're yeah
Yeah, I can imagine.
we're kind of like the last few days has been sort of 37, 38, 40, 42.
Yeah, shit, that is hot for you guys, isn't it? That's hot.
Yeah,
That's even pretty hot for here.
yeah, and like absence of air conditioning. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, no.
So
Are you in
basic.
like an old like traditional style cottage and whatnot, where it's just like
Oh shit, no,
bluestone and whatnot?
no. I'm in a modern flat in a small block.
Yeah.
But it's just like so one side is like burning in the morning, and then one side's burning in the evening, and then like the period
Oh,
during the day, I'm like hiding. But yeah, it's been quite weird because like the government have treated it like we're everyone's gonna die.
dude, it's funny. We're even seeing articles ourselves from over here, like from the UK, being like, yeah, you got to be extremely cautious of like heat stroke and expecting like all sorts of like serious health concerns. It's like
Yeah.
it's bad, but it's not that bad. You'll be right. You'll be right. You'll get through it.
Well, this is it, and I think I think the government have forgotten the amount of people who actually do go on holiday to countries that are a lot hotter. Um,
Yeah, right.
but it's the same old thing, though, isn't it? It's the warnings for the idiots who'll go, oh, it's supposed to be the hottest temperature ever. Let's go and sunbathe all day with the kids in the park,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, and get to about
And
three
no,
o'clock in the afternoon, and everyone's ringing an ambulance for them.
yeah, no sunscreen, no water, running about in the sun, not actually realizing just how that you
Yeah,
can't exactly be doing that.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And because we've got idiots like that, then we all get the stay indoors, stay indoors. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's like when you're in school and you got the teacher like told the whole class off for like one kid doing the wrong thing, so they got to set the standard for the one dumbass.
that's the one. That's the one. But hey, I'm not complaining. It's been amazing, but it also gets to the stage, as you know, where it's so hot, you just can't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I definitely know what it's like. And funny, like you were saying about how like one side of your house is just roasted. One of the places I used to live at back in Melbourne, it's very much so the same thing. Little two-story brick place with just a big flat wall that had the window from my bedroom just facing the morning sun. So yeah, in summer, I know what you mean. It gets hot. Yeah, even
That's yeah.
indoors, you can't really do that much. Hey.
That's exactly me. Like the morning sun comes, rises up, and it's like straight in the room, and you like start the day hot, and then you've just got degrees of hotness all day.
Just gradually getting worse and worse as it soaks in all the way through
Yeah,
until about like 8 or 9 at night.
yeah.
Hey.
But the benefits of just stepping into a freezing cold shower are like to be triumphed in these crazy times, because it's just like total reset for at least a few minutes anyway.
Total complete opposite to us, because we've been getting down to like 1 or 2 degrees here lately. It's like dead middle of winter for us. So yeah, total opposite, getting like that 3 or 4 minutes where you can hop into like a boiling hot shower and like heat yourself up for the next couple of hours.
Oh dear. Hey man, do you realize that we've spent the whole, it's my fault, but we've spent the whole like beginning of this talking about the weather. Everyone's going to be like,
Yeah.
everyone's going to be like, oh wow,
Good
I'm
intro.
I'm I'm really interested to hear about this band, because like there's and I'm sure people will be, because there's, unlike most bands, there's not a massive amount about you guys out there, is there?
Yeah, not a huge amount. Because I think so. The guys have actually like the band did exist for like about 4 or 5 years before I joined it, like prior to the hiatus. So back in like 2008 to 2013. But even following that, even like did have the release of like our EP and a little 2-track split that sort of just was like the catalyst to kick things off. Yeah, we haven't really got that much out there. Like we've done like other interviews and podcasts and things like this as well. But I think it's only sort of really now that the album launch cycle is sort of finally coming to fruition and everything's actually getting a lot more public. It's a lot more going on at the moment than there was last year, that's for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, obviously you've got a social media presence, but I tend to ignore that because it's like, you know, if I'm going to go dig in to do some research, which to be honest is not very often, because I'm fairly familiar with who I'm interviewing, but also there's usually like, you know, plethora of interviews and stuff like that. But it's like the thing is as well is when you're putting you into a search engine, you go in and it's like Nicolas Cage and right up to FI, you're still not getting a look in. Yeah, it's Nicolas Cage films, you know, and then yeah, exactly. And then but you go G and you're all over that shit. Yeah, it's like
Google's doing us dirty. It's got to put us there as the second option, surely.
Yeah.
And then put us directly behind him.
Oh yeah. It's without doubt the algorithm is at work.
It'll happen. It'll happen soon enough. We'll creep our way up there.
But look, it's a completely unique name, but also one, I don't know. I kind of get the idea that it's one that you could mistakenly be labeled by somebody who hasn't heard the band as being a bit of a joke, being a bit lighthearted, you know, and yes. Fuck me. Yeah, your album is many things, but it ain't funny.
Yeah, that's because we've talked about this and we have sort of toyed around with the idea of I think at one point at one of our practices, like probably well over a year or two ago, we did play around with the idea of running with just Cage Fighter instead of Nicolas Cage Fighter. Sort of as like, you know, a refresh for the band after the hiatus, but it's too much of a draw card. It's too much of like a talking point for us. And it's good because it does mean that the people that do hear the name and sort of chuckle about it, there's a good chance that they probably will check us out thinking, oh yeah, it's probably a piss take. It's probably just going to be shit. And then hopefully, yeah, they like it and realize that, it's not just a joke, you know. I mean, like, the name is obviously a joke, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's some wicked merch out there as well. There's a particular like t-shirt maker who seems to be having great fun with your stuff. Yeah,
we got I actually really, really like some of the designs that we've got, but one of our all-time popular sellers, it's actually like an old design. It's got like one of the old logos from way back. Like from the first EP days before the hiatus. It's like a Nicolas Cage face, but he's like a zombie and his jaw's like half ripped open and there's like blood spilling out and everything. It's not my favorite design, but because I really like some of the other ones we've got, but it is probably by far like our most consistent seller because people see it and go, yeah, let's get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I think it's crossover as well. I mean, you know, it is the kind of thing that somebody who's just like not into the music or anything is going to go, oh, like, yeah, I'm going to like wear that because
they can kind of enjoy it for the reference or just for the name and the humor behind it on its own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's only a matter of time before one of the Kardashians is pictured wearing one of your shirts, I'm sure.
Fingers crossed. Hey, well, if we can actually get the big man himself wearing the merch, that's the end goal.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Has there ever been any contact or like, you know, have you ever kind of reached out to the management? Because he seems like quite not approachable, but I was going to say down to earth, you know?
Yeah, I was chatting to somebody about work about this as well. Just literally like not even 4 or 5 hours ago. He does seem like the sort of guy I think who would actually be cool with it or sort of like see the humor behind it as well. I sort of get that impression. We haven't reached out to him yet just because I think as well, we don't want to like, at this point, whilst we're still like in the lead up to the album, we didn't really want to kind of like be seen to be using it as like a draw card, you know, like we want it to sort of be up there, stand on its own for its own merit before we sort of play that card. I'm pretty sure people have tagged him. I think I've seen people like tagging like the Nicolas Cage Fighter like official page on like social media on our content before though. So I'm confident that he's at least heard the name, I reckon. But yeah, no collaborations in the work as of yet.
Gotta find out what his schedule itinerary is. Next time he's filming in Australia, there's got to be a crossover video. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's just like Nick, just fucking walk past us playing in the background or whatever. I mean, obviously what you want is like a Sepultura Attitude kind of video where it's like in the octagon, you know, he's full on fucking fighting either one of you or like, you know, some dude or whatever, you know, it's like, yeah. It's in your future. It's got to be.
We'll get him to be like the star as like the main actor in one of our music videos, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure we can make it happen.
He totally seems like the kind of dude who'd be like, how long do you need me for? Well, like 6 hours? Sure, yeah, exactly. I'll be there. Turns up on his motorbike, no entourage, you know, just on his own. And he's just like, exactly as you expect. Hey guys, how are you? What do you want me to do? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon he'd love it. Yeah, I reckon it'd be fun as to work with for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. God, boy, he's got that some stories. And I always tell anybody this, right? And you're the perfect candidate for this. If you haven't seen it already, make sure you remember this up for after the interview. Go onto YouTube and put Nicolas Cage Wogan, Wogan. Put that into YouTube. There's an old British radio DJ who had a TV show, an interview show, and it was like 5 days a week, and it was called Wogan, and he was called Terry Wogan, and he got all the guests on. There's an episode with Nicolas Cage, and I mean, he has done so much coke before this interview, right? Like, so he comes out, he like, you know how people walk out to do an interview onto a chat show. He does a backflip. To come out for his interview and finishes it, and he's literally going, whoa, yeah. Like
I can see the thumbnail is like him like yeah.
Oh mate, it is absolutely, it's insanity. It's total insanity.
I'm literally gonna watch this sort of right now.
Yeah, do.
So, he's having the time of his life.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like throwing dollars out into the crowd as well.
Yeah. It's just
that's a high kick as well. He gets his foot up like this high up. That's insane.
Yeah. He's still a pretty young man there. And it's amazing because like the way he deals with the interview, like Wogan just treats him like a child who's had too many sweets. Do you know what I mean? Now, sit down.
It looks like he's got that like sugar rush kind of energy. Like, just calm down. It's okay. We're here for some serious business.
Yes. Yeah. And he's like, sit down. Now, come on, let's have a chat. You know, it's just like brilliant. It's like, yeah. But anyway, new album, man. I had the single sent to me in a link, and I was like, "Whoa, fuck me!" That's two things I like. Short, well, actually three: short, aggressive, and angry. There is a difference between angry and aggressive. So I was like, Jesus, you know, right? Keep me informed about these guys. What's going on? So I got sent the album, and the album is like, it's dense. You know, it's so fucking heavy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, there's a lot in there. Hey, well, aggressive and angry, and just like in your face and consistent was sort of what we were really aiming for with it. We wanted to sort of have like a lot of similarities to sort of the earlier music, but yeah, we just wanted that really something that would just like catch your attention and just be non-stop in your face for the full 40 minutes. Yeah,
and that's the other win as well, because 40 minutes, 45 minutes, that's an album length.
That's sweet spot. Yeah. Because when we were chatting to Metal Blade about the kind of general constraints or like what they sort of expect in like an album, you know, from a band like on their label. Like,
yeah,
you know, obviously you can't do like a 20-minute or a half-hour album. Initially length was one of the things where I think initially we kind of were expected to have a little bit longer of an album than we ended up with. But when we were chatting back and forth, we sort of said to him, we're like, look, we'll send you sort of the early works and the, you know, the pre-pro, you know, we don't really think if we like flesh these songs out that they're going to sort of, or if we like try and make them longer just for the sake of it, that they'll really sort of hold the same sort of like charm. Like, I think the biggest strengths of some of the singles on there is that they are so like short, you know, it catches your attention and it doesn't wane at any point just by trying to be more than they need to. We love it. It flies by whenever I listen to it.
Yeah, well, I'm really pleased to hear that, because I'm one of those people as well. It's like I don't know, there seems to be a kind of social media thing where if you admit that you like your own band, or you admit that you're one of the albums you're listening to the most is your own new album, it's like it's seen as conceited, it's seen as, you know, being kind of big-headed. But I'm just like, if it wasn't number one, wouldn't there be a fucking problem?
I agree. Like,
if I wasn't listening to it constantly, wouldn't that mean it? Like, I think it's shit. That's not good.
100%. Yeah, like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, we're all definitely like hold our own work up to a pretty high standard, and if given the opportunity, we would just continue to like constantly make changes to something or another, and definitely would never see it as just like a never-ending project for sure. But like, I don't think there's anything sort of like, like egotistic or like, you know, up yourself about like enjoying the end result. Because it's like, if you don't enjoy the music that you're making, that you're putting out, then you're probably putting out the wrong kind of music, right? Like, absolutely. We got to sit in when Metal Blade did their like the premiere, the live stream of it that went up about like 10 or so odd hours ago or something like that. And it was cool. Like, we're sitting there, we're typing on the way, responding to people in the crowd, and we're all banging along to it, you know, like we enjoy what we've written. I think you've got to a degree, like never like let it get like, I don't know, I wouldn't call it my favorite album, because there's a lot of other music that's damn good that I'm really enjoying from other bands at the moment. But we're proud of it, you know, got to enjoy it.
No, absolutely. And funnily enough, I mean, I remember talking, I sing in a UK thrash band called Acid Rain. And we've been around forever, and
I think I have heard that name thrown about.
We put our first album out for 29 years in 2019, and then there was a pandemic. Fucking awesome. So we better not release another album, is what I'm saying. But I remember saying to the rest of the band the day before it came out, it's like, and funnily enough, we speak as, you know, the day before your album's about to be internationally released. And I said to everybody in the band, like, you know, in that last month leading up to it, listen to the album as much as you can, because as of this day, it will cease to be ours. And every time you listen to it, you will hear things that people have said about it, or that song, or, oh yeah, somebody didn't like that, or, oh, and it will just fill your head. This is the time to listen to the album, because it's still ours now.
It's a very, very, very good point. I hadn't actually sort of thought of it like that, because I think, I've had that same sort of experience, actually, come to think of it, with the EP that we've put out, but I haven't actually thought about it in the context of the album as well. So it's very interesting that you say that. It definitely, it loses, it's not so much that it's not yours anymore. It doesn't lose that in the same sense, I don't think, but it definitely isn't entirely yours anymore. You know, it becomes what everybody else sort of sees of it as well, for sure.
Well, when you listen to it, you just can't help but take on all of the information that you've heard, because when it comes out, you want to be all over the reviews. What do people think? What's being said here? What's being said there? Wow, people have really liked that song, and I thought that would be tough for people to take. Oh, I thought they'd love this one. No one's mentioning it. Oh, right, this is weird. You know, and you get all of that. When all that shit's in your head, and then you listen to the album again, it's like all the songs become triggers. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
Instead of being able to enjoy it or take what you used to get out of it, all of a sudden it's just what you take away that everybody else got from it.
Yeah. But I always, I Are you the main lyric writer?
Yeah, primarily. There was a good handful of lyrics that were written by some of the other guys in the band. Mostly just things like some shorter paragraphs or phrases, or like some general sort of ideas and concepts, right, which I then sort of weaved into some of my own ideas or fleshed out even further as well. Majority is me though, yeah.
Right. Okay. So are you looking forward to having your lyrics reinterpreted for you, and hearing all the different ways people apply what's going on in their life or what's happened to them to a particular set of lyrics?
Yeah, it's cool. We got a comment on our second video probably like a week and a half ago, I think, from there was this dude, because like, so the lyrics on that song, that Compound and Fracture, it's basically just about like, it's meant to be kind of like one of the whole wake up call songs off the album. It's very much like, the observation of people that, like despise their life or, blame other people for the situations they're in without actually like, doing something that they want to fucking do, or without, focusing on themselves pretty much. And we got a comment from this guy and it was cool. He just banged out this whole paragraph. He's like, man, I've been in a fucking rut lately. I feel like my life's just fucking going around in circles and I'm sick of working a day job I fucking hate. And this song was like a wake up call to me. Fucking thanks for the music. And I was like, that's like the whole point of what I was trying to do, which is that was really, really cool to see. There's a couple of songs on the album that cool moment, man. That felt cool.
That is literally what it's all about.
Like because it's very much like sort of my interpretation of what I wanted the general themes of the album to be about, but to see that other people can resonate with it on like a really specific sort of thing, I thought that was pretty sweet. Like I was hoping that's what I'd be able to get out of it, and to get something out of it that quickly was really sweet. But there are a couple of songs on there that I've left a little bit more ambiguous, so to be kind of open to interpretation. So I'll be interested to see if people do point out something that they take away from it that I never thought of as well.
Don't worry, that will happen. That is going to be all over the show. I mean, it's like I think when you say more ambiguous, definitely, but also as you've said with Compound and Fracture, that is not on the nose, but the theme is very clear. And
it's concise, and
it's cool when people react to exactly that. But then there's also other songs that people will completely misinterpret, and we had a song on our album that it's called United Hates, and people who've not even read the lyrics will, put things like, well, it's obvious what this song's about. We even got like an abusive comment from an American saying like, well, and basically just hammering the UK for us slagging off the US. And I was like, just replied and went, read the lyrics, dude. This song has got nothing to do with the USA or the UK. It's got nothing to do with politics or countries or anything. But like, people will.
Thanks for taking the time out to get shitty with this, but you're completely off the fucking mark.
It's like you've taken longer to write the comment than it would have done to read the lyrics and realize you don't need to write the comment.
I reckon if any song's going to do that off the album, I reckon it'll probably be Shrine of Wire. I reckon that'll probably be the one, because there's a lyric in there which is romanticizing mental illness has become a fashion statement. But when you listen to the song, the word romanticizing, that can get a little bit lost in it. So I reckon I've been kind of thinking about it actually a bit. It's funny that we're talking about it now. I've been thinking, I wonder if there will be anybody who thinks that I'm saying mental illness is a fashion statement, not romanticizing mental illness is a fashion statement. I'll be kind of waiting to see if anybody does say that, and I think that'll always be in the back of my mind for a little while. But it'll be also be fun moment in that case. It does happen, because I can be like, read the lyrics, you fucking idiot.
Absolutely. But the thing is, that's what gets lost is nuance. And because people tend not to buy physical products, so the first thing you do is read the lyrics. it's, you know, if you're lucky, you get a bouncing ball lyric video, and you know, and that's going to be that, and that's where this comes from. But funnily enough, picking up on that point, I completely agree. I've been saying a fair amount recently that I think we're past the point of, you know, people expecting a medal for talking about mental illness, you know. And it's like, you know, it's like, oh, it's really good that you're talking about this. Look, unless you've been under a rock, I think it's pretty damn clear, that it's okay to talk about mental health.
Yeah. And I think as well, it also probably depends a little bit on like which particular, if you want to get real nerdy about it, it definitely depends on like what subset or subgenre of like metal and heavy music you're listening to, like how prominent that'll be. One of the things that, because I've always got like a little bit of a sweet spot for like some really tasteful melodic hardcore, like Ghost Inside, for example, heaps of lyrics that are based around, you know, like self-help and willpower and mental illness and overcoming internal issues and things like that. But yeah, like those sorts of things have been talked about in heavy music for fucking ages, you know.
Well, hang on, come on. I mean, I'm 52. And the first time I heard Korn, I was like, okay, this dude's got fucking problems, and he's not afraid to talk about them in every song, or like, you know, not far. And that was kind of like, for me, that was a bit of a sort of, whoa, right, okay.
It's like, okay, well, you can actually talk about these things in music that's meant to be like, you know, angry or powerful and like in your face. I think for a lot of people it'd you know, probably be like Linkin Park, you know, probably like the most approachable of that sort of music, you know, like all of that was based around fucking problems, you know.
I tried so hard. I mean, some of the biggest choruses, and it's
literally about that.
Well, Chris Cornell, you know, fell on black days. I am fucking depressed. You know, it's just like, you know, but these kind of messages are, they're. Oh, I've got, believe it or not, I've got parakeets, wild parakeets here in London.
No shit.
Enjoying
the sun, apparently.
Apparently, or getting chased by a squirrel. Either way.
What to do.
So look, the touring the album, you're based in Australia. It's the age-old question. Sorry, it's got to come up. It's got to suck. You're at the fucking bottom of the world. Everywhere is like a long way. Even within Australia, it's a long way, man. Absolutely. People over here think that Australia is like, well, Australia, you jump on a plane, you're in New Zealand in like 90 minutes, 2 hours, right? You know?
I think, actually, it wouldn't be, it's probably not far off. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you get from Melbourne to Sydney in probably about like 2 hours or so. So like New Zealand's probably not a too dissimilar time frame. Probably like 3 hours, maybe. Somewhere around there. Like but it's it's like you put like, you take Australia and you lay it on top of the US, and it's like it's just as fucking wide, man. It's like if you want to go from one major city to another, you're up for like 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours easily. Let alone if you go to Perth. So you've got what, 1, 2, 3, you've got 5 dates lined up at the moment. All in Oz. And what's the plan of, I mean, presumably Metal Blade want to get you, around the world. Yeah, absolutely. So we are already, like, we're actually very lucky and very thankful for it. We have actually had some people, some like booking agents and promoters from overseas actually reach out to us, which is really cool. And we've started working on some plans. We've got some things in the work. I won't really give away too much because a lot of it isn't yet fully set in stone. So it would be a bit rich to sort of jump the gun on it. We're looking forward to coming overseas for sure. This tour that we've got, we did want to do more dates, but because music in general is sort of just getting back to the point now of becoming really commonplace, and bands are touring and gigs are happening really frequently. It was actually going to be really tricky for us to get a lot more dates and actually be able to not so much guarantee a good turnout, but have it be likely that every show would actually be sort of quite successful. Right. So we ended up trimming it down just to sort of the major areas. So yeah, we've got Newcastle, because Newcastle, when we played there last, was fucking insane. We love it there. Sydney, because, you know, if we're up in New South, it'd be rude not to. And Teeth, who are now the primary supporting band for the tour, they're based out of Sydney. So naturally, you know, they'll have a good response there.
Yeah.
Melbourne, just because it's so close by to Ballarat, and because we've actually played more gigs in Melbourne than we have in our hometown because of COVID and whatnot. Right. So we're expecting the Melbourne show to be good. We've always been pretty lucky to get a good response there. The Ballarat show, we're expecting to just be utter fucking chaos. It's going to be insane. It's been almost 3 years since we've played there. It's a small, kind of packed in venue. You know, I think
you mean the best
200, 300.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. Sweatbox.
Yeah, good. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, man. You get 30 seconds into a band set and the temperature just cranks up to 50 instantly.
Yeah.
And then also Adelaide, the day after Ballarat as well, we're also expecting it to be really good because Relapse, who are the secondary support band, they're from Adelaide as well. And they're kind of like hometown heavyweights there to a degree. They're very much up and coming, but have built a strong following for themselves. So we're looking forward to all of it. We really did want to do Brisbane and get back to the Gold Coast as well, but it's kind of hard to justify for all four of us bands to go an extra 24 hours worth of round travel potentially for a single extra show when things have been tricky for us to organize. So unfortunately, we did have to pull the plug there, as much as we do want to go back. So it's kind of turned into a little bit just like a warm-up tour in a sense. Not only as, I mean, like, don't get us wrong, it's going to be a full-on show and some brilliant shows that we're very much looking forward to. But in terms of the grand scheme of being able to move forward and getting ready to play overseas, it's very much like a chance for us to get into the groove of things, you know, get into our rhythm a bit more.
And presumably as well, the other impact is if you're adding distance, like fuel costs have changed somewhat.
Yes.
And that's a real impact.
It actually, you know, it hasn't deviated that much over probably like the last year or two in Australia. Like it goes up and down, and where you get it can play a big difference. Thankfully, expenses wise have been consistent, so it's kind of easy to budget it in that sense. There's not as much uncertainty, but it's still a fucking long way, man. It's still a lot of extra fuel that you got to pay for, and it's still more accommodation costs.
Well, I mean, accommodation. I mean, fuel costs here in September, we were paying about £1.45 a litre. And now we're paying £1, and we're paying £1.95 a litre.
Shit, with conversion, that's a lot, man.
Yeah. What's this? Go on. Surprise yourself.
Yeah. I'm checking this out. Shit.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Yeah. So
that's having a major effect.
We're like 2/3 of that, give or take.
Right.
And I mean, I know that conversions and blah, blah.
It's kind of, real world as well. It's kind of slightly different.
Still, shit. Yeah. Dude, I saw a photo the other day just pop up on social media. I think it was in like Libya or somewhere in the Middle East. And it was like, fuck, what did they spend? It was like $5 Australian for like 40 liters or something like that. Obscenely cheap.
Yeah.
Like we'll take heavy metal abroad and we'll base ourselves in the Middle East so that touring is more affordable.
Well, that funnily enough, that's what it costs when you live right next to where it's coming from. But hey, look, you know, I mean, ultimately, you've got these Aussie dates, and that's gonna you know, get you back in the throw of things. How long are you looking at being out for? I mean, I'm presuming that the reason I say this is because, again, the distance. If I'm your label, management, or whatever, once we get you out the country into North America, kind of I don't want to let go of you until you've done the whole of North America, the whole of South America. Oh, South America, South America means you can make the jump to, and really try and cover as much as possible.
So yeah, we have been thinking about this. I think one of the things we've been kind of hoping to do, sort of as like a stepping stone. Sorry, I got a fucking killer eyelash at the moment.
That's all right, man.
So what we've been kind of hoping for would be to actually do the UK, honestly, as like an early run, because the way we kind of see it is it would give us the opportunity to get used to something that could last, like, say, maybe a couple of weeks, and maybe not necessarily have a great deal of time on the road, because it is, obviously a lot more localized in a smaller area. It would give us the opportunity to sort of get used to playing like a lot of shows back to back, and in a shorter time, in a more condensed time frame.
That's interesting. Because I was gonna say, again, as a singer, the prospect of like singing every night for 5, 6, 7 shows in a row, maybe get a break, but even then, a day off is one of the worst things to have, because the following day you're shitty again, and it's like, because your voice has got used to it.
100%. So for that, we're just practicing more often. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm doing at least 5 or 10 minutes worth a day, making some noises randomly in the car on the way home from work. It does sort of seem like a daunting prospect, because this is the first proper band that I've been in, so the idea of eventually just sort of jumping headfirst into doing a couple of weeks or like a couple of months even of non-stop touring, it's definitely daunting. But I think, at least in that sense, I'm kind of lucky that I have been doing this for a fair while, so at least I've got the right idea of how to, at least I can sort of respond to my body and adjust as need be on the fly. But yeah, man, honestly, man, we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
The idea that, the offer will come and it'll be like, all right, cool, pack your bags and say goodbye for fucking 2 or 3 months at a time. It's seeming more and more real. And we're enthusiastic, man. We can't wait to travel and play.
That's awesome. I remember, exactly how I felt on the eve, and looking at this shit becoming real and something that you've always wanted to do.
Absolutely. And having it feel like something that can be done. Hey.
Absolutely. But also then the vagaries of the music business. We ended up with this catchphrase, which is basically believe it when you're on the bus. It's like, because there's so much shit gets talked about, and you've been mentioning this, or
I really like that saying, because with just as like a little crossover, that sort of resonates with me, especially because the whole Metal Blade Records thing hasn't really felt real, like really real, until like probably like the last week or a couple of weeks or a month or so, because it's like we're on the bus now. It's like it's up on the channel, the premieres are happening, this is happening, the interviews are out. I like that saying. That's good. Believe it when you're on the bus. I like that.
Yeah, man. And do you know what? Totally got suckered in. We've just had a festival cancelled with 9 days notice, and I was incredibly angry, and then I just caught myself. I was just like, believe it when you're on the bus. You've known this for years, but I got blindsided by it, because of 9 days. You're pretty sure it's going to happen.
But when you're that close, you're like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Was that just like COVID and whatnot, or some other issues?
Supply issues, which seem to be a thing everywhere. But 9 days, man, that's not fair on anyone. It's not fair on the bands. It's especially not fair on people who've booked transport, travel. They've booked accommodation. You name it.
Big festival.
And
festival,
a reasonably big festival, and its first year, and they've moved it back to the end of September, beginning of October, and it's kind of like, well, okay, but this is not a good start. Not a good start. But
like,
you know,
I mean, like a reschedule is better than just flat out canceling, at least, because at least, you know, there's still like that. There's still, it's a pain in the ass, but at least there's still the opportunity it can go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, absolutely. But you know, but hey, serves me right. I forgot my own phrase. You know, believe it when you're on the bus, and it's
still at home, fucking packing the bags.
Haven't absolutely, even got the ticket yet. Yeah. It's still relevant now. But do you know what? You know, ultimately, it's just a gig, and that's what you just have to keep telling yourself. You know what? It's just a gig, and
always
given what,
on, man.
Yeah, and given what we've all been through, and you guys as well. I mean, you talking about COVID there, a lot of UK listeners will be like, "Oh, really?" Because we were back out on the road in September. I mean, admittedly, as a 4-piece, because one guitarist had gone down really bad with COVID, but since then, yeah, it's pretty much like back to normal, and you know, has been since sort of February.
It's pretty much like that here now as well. So it was been weird in Australia because like the just overarching restrictions on being able to go out and having capacity and density restrictions within venues was pretty common in most areas, but it was a little bit state by state as well. In Victoria, which is, you know, Ballarat and Melbourne down south, we got fucking hammered, man. Hospitality and entertainment just got bent over for like 2 years. Venues that would normally be able to like hold capacities of like, you know, several hundred people would be reduced down to restrictions of like 50, and like enforced by police. Like, you know, like they could lose like liquor licensing, they could be shut down, they'd have all sorts of headaches brought about them just for something remotely close to what was normal. So it did basically mean just a halt on music for the better part of like a year and a half, close to almost 2 years. Thankfully, though, now I think, even though, like, you know, it fluctuates in how prevalent COVID is, and, you know, we're constantly seeing, you know, new cases and new numbers and health scares and strain on the healthcare system and whatnot. But I think, touch wood, in terms of restrictions and how limited we are in being able to play gigs and go see bands and just hospitality in general, I don't see those restrictions coming back, or at least I fucking hope not anytime soon, because it's made it hard, man.
Yeah, man. I've got a sister who has lived in Oz for 30 years. She lives out she used to live out in Port Douglas. And,
It's
and
nice up there, man.
2 billion flies can't be wrong. You know, but there's they run like tourist bus tours of the, you know, along there, the Barrier Reef. Done. You know, no way, no chance, and they have just been bleeding cash. You know, because there's just, and unfortunately there was a time as well where all the states around them were locked down, but they weren't. So because they weren't, they couldn't get any help with their business. But they were locked out, not locked down. They were locked out because nobody could come, but they couldn't get any help for the business because there was no lockdown in their state. And that's just like, that really sucks.
For a state that is probably the like tourism hotspot of the country, just because, it's like, hey, you're in the middle of winter, you fucking escape up to the north where it's still 25 degrees and sunshine and you can still go swimming, you know. For a state that's built on the tourism industry, man, I can only imagine how hard it would have been. I mean, we don't necessarily have as much tourism down here, but we have a lot of hospitality, so it's a similar kind of crossover and a lot of effects. Well, I got heaps of close friends and whatnot who, you know, restaurants, bars, cafes, you know, like they owned it, they worked there. Fucking ruined. It's rough.
Yeah, no, it is, man. But look, it seems how we're both vocalists here. I'm always keen to ask singers where their kind of, not inspiration comes from, like your influences. You know, who did you listen to and go, ooh, right, and then, you know, one day you got on a mic and, you know, Noise came out and you thought, okay, yeah, I can do this. I thought I could. Turns out I can.
So in terms of like the band and the vocalist, it sort of like got me started and into this, it'd be Mike Ranica from the Devil Wears Prada. They were like the first heavy band that I ever found on my own. 15-year-old listening to metalcore, as you do, the little scene phase that everyone in fucking my age group went through, it happens. But I suppose like probably there's probably two main vocalists that really sort of pushed me in the direction I'm in now, which would probably have to be Jonathan Huber from I Declare War and Pathology, and a handful of other projects, and Nate Johnson from Through the Eyes of the Dead and Fit for an Autopsy. Have you seen the video on YouTube called I Declare Goddess?
No.
So write it down. It'll blow your fucking mind.
Well, you did the same for me, so I'll do the same for you. Yeah,
it's just basically 4 minutes of fucking insane. So yeah, I Declare Goddess. It's so Cameron Argon, he's like an electronic producer who also has his own solo project called Disfiguring the Goddess. He got together with John Huber and they did like this just like single. I think it's actually on a release, but I can never find it on Spotify or anything, but it's up on YouTube.
Wow, it's just two guys in a room.
Just going at it, man. It's so cool. I think Cameron, he actually wrote like this song just for this, and then they just got together and recorded it. There are some lows that John hit in this that like when I heard him do that, I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. That's the noise. But then like also in terms of writing style and like phrasing and timing and spacing, I definitely sort of attribute that more to Nate Johnson with the album The Process of Human Extermination. He's just loud and roaring and non-stop and full of energy. There's one video of him playing The Conqueror live from like 2009 or 2010, I think it is, and he's just veins popping out of every bit of his fucking body for like 4 minutes straight. Like you can just tell he's just soaring it. And those two guys definitely were just the main guys that I heard what they did and I went, yeah, fuck it, that's what I want to do. So that's what I'm going to give it a crack at. In terms of like actually learning it. Oh yeah. So what are you gonna say?
No, I was going to say, and you moved on to it nicely because I was just going to say that time where, because I remember those first like creeping steps into bands and stuff like that, and I remember the very first band that I went to sing with, and of course they like didn't tell me how I'd done or anything like that, because you don't at that age. And I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? So I like saw one of them. Yeah, exactly. So I said to one of them the following day, like, what's I said, was that did I do okay? And they were like, and he was like, yeah. He goes, to be honest, we were all a bit surprised, and I was like, oh, cool.
Right, then.
Yeah. Or of course, not thinking the opposite, and they was like, well, yeah, no, it's just that you're the first guy we've had along who's actually sung, and it's like, true. And it's like, oh yeah, because there are those people who come along and they stand there and they nod and they read through the lyrics and I'm not sure, and I'm like, so you had people turn up and not sing? That was just weird.
Yeah. Although like I can get the whole stage fright thing, or not like properly preparing for it, not because it's very much so like a confidence thing. You
hell yeah,
super focused on what you're doing for sure.
So
I can understand the struggle for it, but I can also imagine it'd be weird as hell, like trying to do like some tryouts for your band or something, and then you get somebody to show up for a vocalist, and they just stand up the front and just kind of speak and. That'd be weird. That'd be strange.
Yeah, it'd be like, dude, like halfway through the song, dude, you haven't got the job, and you're like, that this isn't for you, really.
Thanks for trying. Thanks. You'll be right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean that first time, that first moment, that must have been like quite the rough.
Yeah, it was cool. Because so I'd probably actually been because like entirely self-taught, just through feeling and just trying to get a grasp of it.
Same here.
And yeah, it's the way to go with this sort of vocals, I reckon, because it's a very sensational thing, I suppose, is maybe not the right term to use for it, but you know, like you have to feel it and you have to sort of respond to it. So I've tried like helping other people teach them how to do it, but it's not the sort of thing that you can really explain to a degree. You know, there's a certain point where you have to say, just try it and see how you go.
Yeah.
And it took me a fair while to actually really get a grip on the style that I use now. I was definitely not doing vocals properly for probably like a good 7 or 8 months, I want to say. And then one day, actually, I remember I was trying to just do, there was this band called Signal the Firing Squad, who are like an Australian deathcore band, old band that's long gone now, but very heavy, very good. And yeah, I was trying to cover one of their songs. I don't remember what it was, but the vocalist had a very, you know, throaty, very like archetypal deathcore growl style voice. And I was getting really pissy with myself because I couldn't do it. And I just went, and then like all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, shit, I got it. Yeah, cool. I get it now. And I didn't really get to have that sort of moment, like doing that with a band or anything for ages, but because I knew so many of my mates that were like active in other bands or like were already sort of committed in other projects, a big thing for me was just doing like little guest spots here and there. Like whenever my mates' bands played shows, just, you know, like grab the mic off them for a couple lines here or there, or like at a gig, like get up on the front barrier and get the odd mic pass from vocalists here or there, just, you know, singing along to the lyrics. So that I kind of like got a little taste of what it was like before actually being in the band. But then yeah, with Cage Fighter, the first jam we did, I didn't really actually do that much because I didn't have any lyrics. We were just sort of fucking around with some new stuff, and I'd never like gotten to be a part of that creative process before. So way out of my depth, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I was that guy just sort of standing there going like, and then after a while, Justo was like, just make noises and like sort of time it along, so, you know, get some ideas out. And yeah, I belted out a couple of lows, and I remember Davo, the drummer, going afterwards, he's like, that was fucking sick, I wasn't expecting that. Nice. So that was sort of like my sort of breakthrough moment into it, and it's just sort of all gone from there.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's cool, because there's like, there's praise from reviewers, there's praise from, like, you know, people who watch the band and all the rest of it, but nothing means as much as what your fellow bandmates think and say.
Yeah, because like we've all got such similar interests that it's like, if they don't think something's that good, you know, I don't think it's that good. Like, actually, yeah, funny you say that. So the song Weeping Sores, for me personally, I think that's one of my weakest songs off the album. And after we finished recording that one, there was actually one point when Justo listened to it, and he actually said to me, he's like, that felt a bit weaker or a bit more lackluster than a lot of the other songs that I had done, where instantly, you know, we'd send through the raw, you know, finished with my vocals, and we're like, holy shit, this is going to be huge. So yeah, there definitely has been those moments where it's like, oh, fuck yeah, if you guys don't like it, I don't like it. Crap. But that's just been a good catalyst to be like, okay, I got to keep it like at 100% A game.
Yeah, but I think it's when you come to the next album as well, it's like, you know, you start out with like, the bar has been set. The bar is the last album. Every song we write from here on has got to be better or as good. Up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it doesn't make
bare minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. So every song you write has got to be good enough to have got on the previous album and push one of those songs off. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's
100%.
Yeah. And it's like, it's that next bar, it's that next rise, that next, like, but hey, you've got that to come. You've got all the fun stuff to do first, so, which is like, you know.
Dude, I can vouch. Whenever we've been practicing and just jamming out some of these new songs, making sure that we're tight for the tour. Justo's already been cranking out the odd riff here or there. That's some new stuff, and anytime he plays anything, all of us like, that's a good shit. Yeah. So I think we're on the right track for album number 2 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that's that you've got to, hopefully you get out on the road and you get to make the most of this album and really take it to like every corner before you have to start thinking about doing that.
Yeah, I hope so, because I mean, look, we're on the label, we do have schedules that we have to keep to. We can't just be just sort of going about it willy-nilly. I think we do have the luxury that because of it's just come out now, we're going to have a little bit of time where we can sort of really flex this album and get the opportunity to play as much of it or all of it as possible to as many people as possible. Yeah.
But also, we cannot wait. But also, because it's your first album, and you haven't got a massive catalogue that people have heard, you're also reliant on basically who's going to take us out. Who can we play with? Because headline shows are going to be tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, because in a sense, so the band is established and it has been around for ages, but because there was like a 5-year hiatus, and musically we have gone in, there's definitely some similarities to the first EP that the guys did quite a few years back, but with how things have refreshed and how we're sort of re-aiming the focus of the band there, it kind of is just like we're like that fresh band on the scene again. So whilst we are in a very fortunate position where we are, we still have a lot of, proving ourselves to do, basically. So yeah, we're not just going to get on board with absolutely any gig for any reason at any time. We do absolutely hold ourselves up to a certain standard. But at the same time, we also know that we can't just be like, yeah, we've got an album out on Metal Blade, we're not going to play with you. Or no, we're not saying yes to that show just for the sake of it. We're definitely finding that healthy balance for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then and you've got the whole festival season in 2023 across Europe, hopefully. Get signed up for that. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, man, if we can not only come overseas during festival season, but also dodge an Australian winter at the same time, sign me up. I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's the one thing about about Australians and Brits. I think that it's like we're all obsessed with the weather.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Every day I walk into work, it's cold out there. Yeah, man. Every day.
And people don't expect to hear that from somebody in Australia.
I think I think and look, fair enough, because especially with all the tourism stuff from Queensland, it does get hot here, but you go down about halfway and everything south of that, it's just it's fucking cold more often than not, man. A lot of snow here as well, and if you're in the right spot too. Obviously not as much as what you do get in America, given the area, or in the UK as well. But yeah, man, it's freezing.
Yeah, but you still actually have weather. You actually have seasons and shit like that. That's and that's what I think. That's what we share, and that's the obsession, is because literally every day is different, and some days you'll have all 4 seasons in one day over here, and it's just of course it's going to be a topic of conversation. It affects everybody and everything you do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's really funny that you say 4 seasons in a day as well, because Ballarat, it's a running joke that, man, you absolutely get 4 seasons every single day here. There's no consistency. So yeah, we got that in common for sure.
I can't believe it. We're back to the weather, and it's that it's almost where we came in. It's gone full circle. Oh shit! Pulled my earphone out. Well, look, man, that's been so much fun. I really enjoyed chatting to you, Nick. That's been great fun.
Thank you, mate. Likewise. This has been sick. We definitely will do this again for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when you're in the UK and in London, I will come along and introduce myself.
Yeah, sick, man. Sounds good. Looking forward to it. It'd be good.
Cool, dude.
To actually get you in person.
Well, look, congrats on the album. That was, really came from out of nowhere. And I was hooked as soon as I heard that first single. And yeah, it's just like all success to you. And hopefully, you know, you can open the door for some bands, for some more bands to come from Oz as well.
Hey, fingers crossed, man. Fuck, it's way too easy for me to ramble, but yeah, we nowadays, even if we know that we have the opportunity to play a bigger slot on a show, if there's bands that we like or bands that, you know, have reached out to us, or you know people we like basically that are smaller,
yeah,
we're trying to give those that opportunities. Like so Shokan, actually, who are the opening support for the album tour, we picked them purely because we played with them in Brisbane a while back. They were all fucking lovely and brilliant music, and we were like, yeah, fuck yeah, how do more people not know about these guys? So
right, yeah, that's awesome, man.
Really thrilled that we get to bring them along, because they are very, very underrated. So yeah, hopefully get to do heaps of that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's I'm a big fan of Mammal, Australian band, who, you know, I've followed for years and saw them when they played over here. But there just seems to have been, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like bands that have made it out of Oz and made kind of like some kind of impact in the metal scene over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's been lacking. You know, you've got a real opportunity here, I think, to kind of shine a light on a whole scene.
I think we're very lucky in that sense that, whilst it's weird in terms of like this kind of scene that we're in, I think we do more on the core side of things, like the metalcore kind of crowd. But I think also because we have such a big traditional metal influence, both in our music and with also how we promote ourselves, we are in that very advantageous situation where we can kind of leverage either way, depending on basically what works. Right. Like there's been some big metalcore acts that have definitely started succeeding out of Australia lately. I don't follow it as much nowadays, admittedly, but bands like Polaris, exceptionally good live. Like they warrant every bit of success that goes their way. You know, you've got bands like Alpha Wolf, previously Justice for the Damned as well. But in terms of just like more metal bands, that, yeah, aside from like Parkway like 10 years ago when they blew up,
yeah,
you know, it's not, that's sort of like the last big one. Or, you know, like Die Artist Motor, of course, as well. You know, it'd be very rude to not mention them.
True.
I know they sort of, you know, err on core, but they're very, very, very deathy at times for sure. Yeah, so hopefully we can leverage a bit of that open space.
Absolutely. Following Parkway's footsteps, man. You'll be headlining festivals before you know it.
Mate, I was watching that DVD when you're like 16, 17 years old, and seeing them just tour across the fucking countryside and camp on the side of the road in cow shit so they can go just jump on a bill at any venue they want. That's the dream, man. That's cool.
And again, it highlights that kind of paying your dues. Nothing comes without hard work. And anybody looking at, you know, Nicolas Cage Fighter is going to go, but that's the first album. They're getting a lot of attention. It's like, look at the history, look how long there's been around, you know, they've managed to get a hiatus in, a previous like EP kind of mini album length, you know, and it's about, nothing comes to people who haven't worked really hard.
100%, yeah. And we're not here to fuck about, and we know what we want, so we're working for it.
Yeah, it's like that. Well, it's like that old, you know, yeah, it's taken me a decade to become an overnight success. You know, it's one of the old, I can't remember who said it, but it's you know, it's genius.
I've heard that quote before, but it's very, yeah, it's there's a lot of truth behind that for certain.
Absolutely. For certain. Absolutely. Well, Nick, look, thank you very much. The band must have really realized they fell on their feet when they got a new singer, and he was called Nick. I mean, that's just like, yeah.
I've even had people asking me, it's like, hey, did the name come about because you joined the band? It's like, no, the name was around before me. It's just a good coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's worked out very well for sure.
All right, man. Well, I hope that UK tour comes off, and I'll see you there.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll chat to you sometime soon.
Yeah, take care.
Mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, dude. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.